Deep within every woman's soul resides a mysterious essence, holding the keys to unwavering self-confidence. This isn't just a pretty metaphor or a banal piece of advice from self-help books. The great Carl Jung, delving into the innermost recesses of the human psyche, discovered that in the subconscious of each of us lies a part of the personality yearning to be heard. This inner child, as it's often called, is not merely an echo of childhood, but the voice of the true self, knowing who you really are, without the masks imposed by society. When you learn to listen to her and bring her joy, an amazing transformation occurs. Your feminine confidence will soar to unprecedented heights. Today we will embark on a journey into this inner world, armed with tools developed by Jung to understand how to heal, grow, and shine from within. This isn't just a story, but an invitation to a personal revolution that begins right now. Jung argued that the unconscious is not a dark and chaotic repository of fears, but a living source containing everything necessary for a fulfilling life. Imagine this inner child as the part of you that still holds the spark of the purest dreams existing before the world began dictating who you should be. The problem is that many of us have silenced her, suppressing her with expectations of conforming to the image of the ideal woman, selfless mother, flawless partner, or successful businesswoman. This girl has hidden, hoping you'll pay attention to her again, and when you don't hear her, you feel an inner emptiness, find yourself in exhausting relationships, engage in unloved work, and feel that something is missing, even if everything seems fine on the outside. Surely, every woman has faced a similar situation. Remember how you met someone, a friend, a partner, a colleague, and at first, everything seemed perfect. You were inspired by shared plans, interesting conversations, and promising prospects, but gradually something started to go wrong. Perhaps it was words that made you doubt yourself, or meetings that left you feeling drained. Familiar? Jung would explain this not as a mere coincidence. It's the voice of your subconscious, your inner child sending a signal, trying to say, "Hey, this isn't right for me." But often, instead of listening to this voice, you convince yourself, "It's okay, I can handle it, I don't want to appear weak." And it is at this moment that the betrayal of yourself begins. According to Carl Jung, the unconscious is like a mysterious underground river, ceaselessly flowing beneath the surface of our everyday lives. It avoids straightforward expressions, preferring to speak to us in the language of symbols, deep emotions, and elusive intuition. This can manifest as an unpleasant feeling of discomfort, inexplicable dreams, or as a premonition, warning of danger, or conversely, calling for action. All these are manifestations of our inner self, striving to guide us on the right path. The first important lesson that Jung teaches us is that ignoring these internal signals is tantamount to disconnecting from the source of our own strength. It is worth considering how many times in life you had to say yes in situations when the true desire was to say no just to avoid conflict. Or remember instances when people remained in friendships, romantic relationships, or even family ties where they felt belittled, driven by a false sense of duty. Each such act, in essence, sends a signal to the subconscious. Your feelings don't matter. As a result, the inner self retreats into the shadows, losing its power. However, there is no need to despair. Jung also argued that in the depths of this same subconscious lies the key to personal transformation. The inner self not only points out problem areas, but is also capable of illuminating what brings true joy and satisfaction. Remember moments when you felt invincible, whether it was dancing alone, supporting a friend in a difficult moment, or boldly expressing your own opinion despite inner trepidation. These moments are manifestations of a happy inner self, reminding us that self-confidence originates not in external attributes such as approval, compliments, or likes, but in restoring the connection with one's own true essence. Before continuing, it's worth pausing for a moment and reflecting on when you last felt that sense of authenticity, when you felt truly alive and free from social masks. If this moment escapes your memory, don't despair, because we will talk about ways to bring it back. If this feeling is still fresh in your memory, then hold on to it, as it will become the starting point for your further journey. Jung called this process individuation, the path of becoming one's true essence, uniting with all aspects of the personality, even those that were hidden out of fear or shame. This isn't an easy task, but it grants freedom. For women in different corners of the world, whether brewing coffee in Mexico, caring for children, or working in the United States, this process is especially important. The world often demands adaptation, leading to a loss of connection with one's own identity. Jung often mentioned the shadow, a concept that seems mysterious but has practical significance. The shadow is the collection of everything a person rejects within themselves: insecurities, anger, selfish desires that are embarrassing to admit. For example, the irritation caused by being interrupted or ignored can be a reflection of a suppressed voice within, yearning to be heard. Envy of other women's success on social media can be interpreted as the inner child's desire for recognition and radiance. Jung urged not to punish oneself for these feelings, but to integrate them, viewing envy not as a negative manifestation, but as a signal of an inner desire. The shadow is not an enemy, but a valuable teacher. How can we help this inner child smile again? First and foremost, it's necessary to look her in the eyes. Imagine yourself standing before your younger version, the one who ran without fear, dreamed of greatness, laughed without caring about others' opinions. What would you tell her today? What does she need? Perhaps she needs to hear a promise that her light will not be extinguished, that boundaries will be set with those who drain her energy. This isn't a simple exercise, but a practical method that Jung used to reconnect patients with their unconscious, and anyone can apply it right now. As an example, consider a situation familiar to many women. Being in a relationship, whether with a partner, mother, or friend, there's a feeling of giving everything, but it's never enough. Imagine a situation: you have a close friend who regularly turns to you for support and complaints, but when you yourself need participation and understanding, she's unavailable. After such conversations, a feeling of emptiness arises, as if life forces have left you. As the famous psychologist Carl Jung asserted, such a situation can serve as a signal that this relationship doesn't correspond to your true essence, and your inner self feels it. So, what should be done in such a case? It's not always about a radical break, although sometimes this may be a necessary step. It's more important to ask yourself, does this relationship fill me with energy, or does it, on the contrary, deplete me? If the answer leans towards the latter, it's time to move on to active actions. There's an effective tool: start protecting your energy, as if it's a precious treasure. The next time someone turns to you with a request for a favor, attention, or time, take a short pause and honestly ask yourself, will this fill me or deplete me? If the answer indicates depletion, boldly say no without feeling guilty. You don't need to go into explanations or justifications. A simple, "I can't right now," will be quite enough. This is a manifestation of love and care for yourself. When you start practicing such an approach, your inner self begins to blossom, because you make it clear that its needs and feelings matter. Believe me, your self-confidence will skyrocket when you feel how strong you become, establishing healthy boundaries. Before moving on, a small exercise is proposed. If the above resonated in your soul, share in the comments what situation or what person is currently taking away your energy. It's not necessary to name names, just let your feelings out. And, if you want, share this video with a friend who also needs to hear this, because together we can heal and grow. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so as not to miss future releases, which promise to be even deeper. In the following videos, it's planned to explore how to resist those inner shadows that hold you back, and how to let go of what no longer belongs to you. Are you ready for this? Take a deep breath, because this is just the beginning of your journey. If you've reached this point, it means that something inside you is ready to awaken. We discussed how your inner self, this part of the subconscious that Jung studied with particular interest, guides you through subtle signals, intuition, emotions, and even a feeling of discomfort. However, delving deeper into the topic, it's worth considering the transformation of ordinary signals into a desperate cry of the soul. This happens when a person feels that a certain aspect of their existence, whether it's a relationship, an entrenched habit, or a deep-seated fear, relentlessly pulls them back, hindering forward movement. Carl Jung, the eminent Swiss psychologist and philosopher, offers a clear answer to this inner conflict. It's a manifestation of the so-called shadow, urgently requiring close attention and acceptance. Overcoming the shadow not only facilitates healing, but also unleashes a powerful sense of self-assurance that becomes impervious to external influences. The shadow, as previously mentioned, encompasses those aspects of our personality that we conceal from ourselves. This isn't due to inherent malice, but rather to beliefs ingrained during socialization, dictating the rejection of certain traits and expressions. Consider how, from early childhood, we're taught to be kind, avoid tantrums, and refrain from selfishness. While harmonizing with others is undoubtedly a valuable skill, these directives can sometimes morph into rigid prohibitions against expressing our own needs and desires. Many can likely relate to the guilt that arises after expressing anger or the fear of seeming demanding when seeking a raise, greater respect, or well-deserved rest. These are all manifestations of the shadow, that part of the personality that possesses strength, strives for self-realization, and resists limitations, but which we've learned to suppress. Jung asserted that ignoring the shadow doesn't lead to its disappearance. On the contrary, it fuels its growth. Recall instances when a minor incident, such as scattered dirty dishes, elicits a disproportionately strong reaction. The root cause isn't the dishes themselves, but the accumulated burden of unexpressed grievances and unmet needs. An unrecognized shadow accumulates, manifesting as chaos, conflict, exhaustion, and even a sense of alienation from one's own self. However, there's also good news. Integrating the shadow transforms it into a valuable ally. Consider a specific example relevant to many: challenging relationships. Imagine someone who, for years, has been in a relationship with a partner who, despite expressions of love, consistently makes them feel inadequate. Perhaps the partner makes critical remarks like, "You need to try harder," or "Don't be so sensitive." Initially, these words might be ignored out of love and a desire to avoid conflict, but over time, they erode self-confidence. The person begins to doubt their own adequacy, questioning, "Maybe I really am doing something wrong." Jung would explain this phenomenon as projection. The partner touches upon that part of the shadow that contains pre-existing insecurity, thereby amplifying it. However, this also presents an opportunity for growth. An inner voice says, "Enough, this no longer brings me happiness." What should one do in such a situation? First and foremost, it's essential to pause and take a deep breath. This isn't about finding fault, but about self-reflection. Ask yourself, what part of myself am I sacrificing in this relationship? Perhaps it's your own voice, joy, or sense of peace. Then take a bold step. Speak to your inner self. While this might seem strange at first, Jung regularly practiced this with his patients. Close your eyes, visualize your inner image, and ask it, "What do you need from me?" Perhaps the answer will be, "Protect me," or "I need you to choose me, even just once." Following this, take action. This could manifest as setting clear boundaries. "I won't allow you to speak to me like that," or, if necessary, completely ending the relationship. The decision to let go can be frightening, as we've been taught that giving up is tantamount to failure, especially for women. Society often imposes stereotypes, urging women to be patient for the sake of their families, conceal their fatigue, and handle all difficulties independently. However, Jung suggests viewing the situation from a different perspective. Letting go isn't a sign of weakness, but a way to connect with your true essence. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone symbolizes toxic relationships, others' debts, or paralyzing fear. Now, imagine setting that backpack down. What feeling arises? Relief, right? That's precisely what happens when you release what doesn't align with your values and needs. Your energy returns, your inner voice gains freedom, and your self-assurance increases. Take a moment to pause and reflect on what you're carrying today: relationships, guilt, or unrealistic expectations. What would happen if you let it go? There's no need to make a decision immediately. Simply feel it for a moment. And if the desire arises, share your thoughts in the comments, starting with the words, "I'm ready to let go of." Sharing experiences inspires not only the author, but also other women experiencing similar situations. If this message resonated with you, share it with a close friend or sister who needs encouragement to take action. Together, we become stronger. Returning to Jung's ideas, it's worth mentioning the concept of projection, which is another key notion. Projection is the process by which a person sees in others qualities or traits that they do not recognize or accept in themselves. Imagine a situation: a person is annoyed by their boss's authoritarian leadership style. Psychologically, this may be due to the fact that deep down, they themselves strive for control but are afraid to show it. Or, for example, a person idolizes a friend who exudes confidence, not realizing that there is a similar strength within themselves. Carl Jung argued that sympathies and antipathies towards others are a reflection of a person's inner world. The truth is that people who cause irritation become peculiar teachers, pointing to areas that need healing. In this regard, a practical question arises: how to make a person's inner child smile and self-confidence increase. It is necessary to start perceiving relationships with others as mirrors. The next time someone causes anger or a feeling of emptiness, don't dwell on negative emotions. It is important to ask yourself, what does this person reflect in me? Perhaps a friend who is constantly late for meetings teaches you to value your time, and a critical colleague pushes you to be more confident in your own ideas. It is recommended to record these answers in a notebook, keeping the so-called active diary proposed by Jung for dialogue with the unconscious. Gradually, a deeper understanding of oneself will come. It is important to note that projections concern not only negative but also positive qualities. Admiration for someone else's courage indicates the presence of this trait in the person themselves, waiting to be manifested. A feeling of delight at the sight of a woman striving for her dreams may be a signal from the inner child, saying, "I want that too." As a practical step, it is suggested to make a list of 3 inspiring women and describe their attractive qualities. Then analyze how these qualities manifest themselves in your own life, even to a small extent. For example, admiring the directness of a cousin, remember a case when you yourself defended principles important to you. This will allow you to integrate the positive aspects of your shadow and feel stronger. Before moving on, pause, take a deep breath, and reflect on who among those around you reflects something important in you, both positive and negative. And perhaps share this realization with others. I realize that such and such a person is teaching me such and such. In conclusion, it is worth noting that all of the above is only preparation for the main thing: how to make the inner child not just smile but dance with happiness. It will be about dreams, goals, and how the universe responds to the choice of one's true path. Carl Jung believed that the meaning of life is not in survival or adaptation, but in finding fullness, purpose, and authenticity. And when this happens, self-confidence turns into an indomitable force, transforming everything around. Jung argued that the subconscious not only points to problems but also directs to what brings true satisfaction. In the life of every woman, there are moments when she feels truly alive. This can be a creative impulse, when something beautiful is born from under her brush, or touching care for loved ones, for example, helping a niece with homework, rewarded with sincere gratitude in children's eyes. Perhaps this is a bold step, leaving a job that was burdensome and did not allow for development. Such moments are not accidental, but a manifestation of her true self, her inner child, blossoming in harmony with herself. However, in the bustle of everyday life, among the concerns about children, bills, and social expectations, these moments are often lost. And here another deep concept of Jung comes to the rescue: synchronicity. Synchronicity is the feeling that the universe itself favors and helps. Surely everyone is familiar with the feeling when you think about someone and that person makes themselves known, or when a desire for change is spoken aloud, and suddenly an unexpected opportunity opens up. This is not just luck, but the result of building harmonious relationships with the surrounding world. Jung argued that when a person lives in accordance with their truth, the universe responds in kind. But for this, it is necessary to muster the courage, choose their dreams, desires, and essence, even when the path seems uncertain. For women striving for more, whether it is a resident of Mexico City dreaming of new horizons, a woman from Bogotá fighting for her place in the sun, or a resident of Los Angeles seeking her purpose, this is a direct call to action. Take a moment to think about the dreams that lived in your heart in childhood, about traveling, writing a book, creating your own business, or simply about happiness, not burdened by other people's expectations. Over time, amidst caring for others and fulfilling obligations, these dreams are often put on the back burner. However, according to Jung, they don't die. They remain in the subconscious, awaiting their moment to be remembered and demand their realization. And then the inner child rejoices. As a practical step, take a sheet of paper and write down a dream you had to abandon. It doesn't have to be something grandiose. Wanting to learn to dance or dedicating an evening just to yourself is enough. Then, take a small step towards that dream. Find dance tutorials on YouTube or set aside an hour a week for yourself. This simple step can transform your energy and give your life new impetus. However, dreams don't always come true on their own. Often, the biggest obstacle is the people around you. Imagine a situation. A woman decides to start her own business, for example, selling handmade items like her acquaintance from Medellin who creates beautiful earrings. She shares her enthusiasm, but in response she hears, "What if it doesn't work out? It's better to stay where you are." Such comments extinguish her enthusiasm, and the inner child shrinks with fear. Jung believed that such people are not the problem, but merely a reflection of one's own fears. It's important to remember that everyone chooses who to listen to. You need to surround yourself with women who support and inspire you, who say, "Of course you can do it." In such an atmosphere, self-confidence grows and the inner child begins to dance with joy. Take a moment to pause, take a deep breath, and think about who in your life inspires you to be yourself and who holds you back. You can share your thoughts, for example, "My sister motivates me, but my aunt always doubts me." And if this message resonates with you, share it with the woman who needs support. An important topic is self-love, which is of great importance to every woman. Jung did not use these exact words, but all his work emphasizes the importance of self-love, accepting yourself with all your strengths and weaknesses. For many, self-love seems selfish, as they were taught from childhood to put others first: children, partners, family. However, the truth is that without choosing yourself, it is impossible to give your best to others. Energy can be compared to a jug of water. If you pour it out on everyone but yourself, in the end, nothing will be left. But if you first fill the jug, taking time to rest, engaging in activities that bring joy, and setting personal boundaries, you will have the opportunity to share abundance. As a tool, you can use a self-love ritual that doesn't require much expense or effort. This could be a cup of coffee enjoyed with your favorite music, or words spoken to yourself in the mirror. "I'm proud of you." This is necessary for the inner child to feel seen, loved, and cared for. This is not just a nice gesture, but a Jungian practice of reconnecting with your essence. And when this happens, you may notice amazing changes. The right people will start coming into your life. Friends who respect you, partners who value you, and opportunities that inspire you. This is Jung's synchronicity. However, you shouldn't idealize the picture of the world, because dark days will inevitably appear on the horizon, as the insightful Jung knew well. He argued that the process of awakening is impossible without the accompanying emotional pain. It is likely that today you are going through a difficult period, a crisis in your personal life, a breakup, an unloved job, exhausting family conflicts. These moments are certainly difficult, but at the same time they carry a sacred meaning. It's your subconscious, like a powerful locomotive, shaking you to the core so that you finally wake up and realize the true state of affairs. Therefore, you should not run away from the impending chaos. On the contrary, embrace it with open arms. Ask yourself an important question. What is this situation trying to teach me? Perhaps what is happening indicates that you deserve more, that it is time for change. Perhaps the hated job is pushing you to find your true calling, to what ignites the fire in your soul. Pain is a kind of portal, going through which tempers your inner child, making her stronger and more confident. And to conclude this short journey, let's briefly summarize everything we've managed to discuss. The ability to listen to your subconscious, the integration of your dark side, shadow, getting rid of everything that no longer serves your interests, and of course, striving to realize your innermost dreams. This is the sure path to gaining genuine female confidence. When your inner child smiles, you begin to shine from within, and this radiance transforms not only you, but also inspires your friends, daughters, and all the women around you. In conclusion, it's important to emphasize that choosing your truth is not a deferred action, not a task for the future when all circumstances align, but an immediate necessity that should be realized here and now. The world craves the unique radiance of each individual, and everyone deserves to feel the fullness of being. We invite you to take a moment to consider the changes that will occur after this realization. What will be released from the burdensome past? What demands will be placed on the surrounding reality? You are welcome to share your intentions by leaving a comment with the phrase, "I will set boundaries with," or "I will return to my dream of." These words will become not only a personal commitment but also a source of inspiration for others who are seeking their path. We express gratitude for your participation, for listening, and for being a part of this community. Life appears as a kaleidoscope of opportunities, and everyone possesses the power to choose how to live their story. We urge you to do this for the sake of your inner child, for yourself. We hope to see you soon in the next video. It's important to remember that when your inner world smiles, everything around you flourishes. We eagerly await you all.